You're listening to Factual America. Can you maybe give us a little synopsis of what Class Action Park is about?
Seth, take that one.
Okay, Chris.
Okay.
Class Action Park is a documentary about Action Park. Action Park was an amusement park in northern New Jersey from 1978 to 1996 that earned and it really did earn this reputation as being the most insane, most chaotic, most anarchic, most run by teenagers, most drunken, most craziest amusement park that ever existed, and indeed oftentimes the most dangerous amusement park that ever existed. But despite, or actually as it happens, because of this reputation, people did not stay away. Rather, they flocked there to experience the danger for themselves.
Yeah. Okay, so it was these crazy death not defying rides that were the main attraction, isn't that right?
That's right.
Yeah. So, when we bring these films on, we try not, spoiler alerts, we try not to, we don't go through the whole film, we don't give things away, but gives people a little tasters. I think one of the ride that people would have seen when they first got to the park was something called the Cannonball Loop. And every time I see a picture of this thing, I don't know, maybe it's nervous.
Scrambles
laughter.
your brain. It
scrambles your brain. I burst out laughing my head off, and then I
Yeah.
just think this is absolutely mad. But
your brain can't process it. It's like looking at a math equation that doesn't make sense. Like your brain just can't process it.
So we have a little clip here that talks about the Cannonball Loop. So would you maybe want to set that up for us,
Chris?
Seth?
It's all you. Oh, Chris,
Okay,
Chris, this is all you.
Okay, Chris.
Cannonball Loop. It's the first thing you see when you actually enter the park.
Yeah.
It was a myth that this thing was actually in existence. But when you go to the park and you enter the gates, you see this contraption that looks like it's from a Bugs Bunny cartoon. It's Wile E. Coyote type of thing. And the thing actually was in use. There's footage of people actually going down this slide.
And Chris, you gotta say what it is, of course. It's an enclosed tube water slide that somehow goes into a full vertical 360-degree loop like a roller coaster would. And you'd see people go in and you'd see them sometimes come out. They wouldn't always make it out, but they'd come out and they'd be facing a totally different direction. They'd be bloody, beaten, battered. It was... It strains the imagination to contemplate the idea that this should be an amusement park ride.
Okay. With that set up, let's listen, and for some of our listeners who are actually viewers as well on YouTube, let's go to that clip.
One of the first things you saw when you walked into Action Park was the infamous Cannonball Loop, which for years it was like a myth that the thing had ever been open.
Cannonball Loop was an enclosed tube water slide, and you would climb to the top of a series of stairs, and you would ride down the enclosed tube, and at the very end, the tube would go into a huge loop.
I mean, you looked at the thing, and it looked like it was something out of like a Bugs Bunny or a Roadrunner cartoon, where they just made a loop and said, yeah, there's our ride.
Some lunatic clearly just was like, build me a slide that's like that. And then they didn't consult anybody who had a background in engineering.
Okay, so how does something like that even... I mean, I can imagine how they get designed. It sounds like someone on drugs or is drunk did something. But how did these things get designed and built?
Yeah, so rides at Action Park, and this was clearly the most visually insane ride, but it wasn't the most dangerous, and it wasn't in many ways the craziest ride at the park. Almost every ride at Action Park kind of makes you scratch your head a little, like what were they thinking? And the important thing to understand is the context of the time. This park opened in 1978. It was either the third or fourth modern water park the country had ever seen. You had Wet n Wild, you had Schlitterbahn, you had Disney's River Country, and then you had Action Park. So nobody knew what a water park was. They were inventing these rides basically in real time. Most of them built by non-engineers, many of them designed by young staff members, many of them actually designed by the owner himself. The Cannonball Loop in particular, the idea came about when the owner of the park literally just drew a circle on a cocktail napkin, hired some local welders to put it together, and then their method of testing it wasn't, we're going to use computer models, we're going to hire a physicist, none of that. Their method of testing was, we're going to throw some test dummies down and see what happens to them. They came out dismembered, missing heads, so they started tweaking angle, water pressure, until those dummies were coming out more or less intact. So next stage, of course, is to send some humans down there. Are they going to go hire some test pilot? No. They're going to literally wave $100 bills in there, and any of the teenage, I'm talking 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, gutsy enough who wanted $100 in their pocket would volunteer to go down this thing and just kind of see what happened. As it happens, though, only the older kids got paid $100. I was told the younger kids got 50.